Hi, good morning. It's 20 past 5, and welcome to MEOW'S Daily Driver, in which I take a car and drive it around and give you my thoughts on that car. So, without further ado, I understand it is very dark. So, let's talk about some things that I do like about this car, first of all. It's a 2012 Ford Focus Titanium, so the Titanium model, you get a 10-inch wheels, the 2-litre engine, which I really like. You get the Sony 9-speaker stereo system. I think that's kind of it. Leather seats inside, which is really nice, but it is going back to Ford today or tonight. Because the gearbox has stuffed up again, and this time it's going in to replace the clutch packs, and that's a real problem with this model of Ford, because the way it's something to do with the actual design of the gearbox. So what happens is, supposedly there's a bit of oil and it leaks inside, and then when that happens, the clutch can't grip properly, so it keeps slipping. And so when you're driving, like if you take off at the lights, you accelerate and just doesn't accelerate. And that's actually put me in some fairly dangerous situations where you're expecting power and it's not moving at all. And it's also put my wife and kids in a fairly dangerous situation as well, which, well, you know what, that's kind of not cool. So I do hope to sell this. I'd probably have to trade it in a dealership, because I don't feel really comfortable selling what I believe is like a terrible piece of engineering onto someone else, and them having to deal with the same sorts of problems that I've had to deal with in this car. So if you're looking at this model of Ford Focus, just don't do it. I would recommend just not buying Ford Focus or the Ford Fiesta at all. I dislike that much, because there was a problem and Ford basically said, no, there's no problem, we're just going to give you first of all 5 years warranty, and then they would give you we've got a letter later on, 7 years warranty, but just on the gearbox. So it shows how much faith they had in it. And in the new model, they've just gone back to a conventional auto. So they've seen the amounts of problems that this gearbox, the power shift, has given them, and they've said, you know what, we'll scrap that, we'll get rid of it. And then supposedly, or they have, won, I think it's Drive Car of the Year, and then so you've had the Ford Focus has won the Medium Car of the Year. The Ford Ranger has won the, I don't know, 4-wheel drive SUV, whatever, car of the year. And then the Fiesta has won the small car of the year, which I find kind of really surprising that that's happened, because really, well, you know, from my experience, it's been pretty bad. So some of the symptoms that you would experience in the Ford Focus would be shuddering, and sort of a loss of power when taking off. And if you've ever driven a manual car, you would know that feeling when taking off at lights, and sometimes you'll be slipping the clutch, or when you haven't timed it correctly, the gearbox will be shuddering. And this is kind of what's happened. That's what happens with the gearboxes in this car. So the first few times when you take it back, they'll say, oh, look, that's normal behavior, and you're just made to look like an idiot, really. But if you do a bit of research on the internet, you'll see how badly these cars are affected. And I think eventually every one of these cars, the gearbox is going to go. It's not a matter of if, it's pretty much a matter of when. But I wouldn't expect to be replacing the clutch packs within the first 4 years or so. So we've had this since 2013, and already I can't wait to get rid of it. But other than the gearbox, the rest of the car I think is fine. So if you can drive manual, drive stick, hey, I recommend you get that model. I was also looking at the diesel, which comes with the wet multi-clutch gearbox, and quickly, and I did really like the diesel sport because it had the wet multi-clutch, and there's no problems with the wet multi-clutch. It's called wet because it sits in a bath of oil, similar to a motorcycle engine. There is, however, a lawsuit, a class action against Ford at the moment. So if you haven't joined up with them, I would suggest doing that. If you have one of these cars, to show Ford that, hey, you know, we're kind of unhappy with the product, because you'll be just facing a huge loss when you actually try and sell it. Because by then, hopefully everyone knows that this model of Ford, the LW and the LW2, not exactly great pieces of product. And it's not like they could engineer a solution where they just replace all the gearboxes. That'd just be too expensive. So the first few times you go in, they would, this is what I was talking about before, that the first few times you go in, they would do like a software update, which I think basically retimes the clamping of the clutch, so it reduces the slipping and the shuddering. But it's only a software update. There's no change to any of the hardware at all, which is what this Ford is going in for tonight, to replace the clutch pads. So, you probably, if you haven't seen it, I'll put a link in the description to a video by John Cadogan, and you can watch what he says about the Ford Focus and the amount of problems that people have had going back to the dealership. And I think it's probably I'm kind of one of Ford's ideal Focus customers, because I probably won't go back to the dealership and complain and be angry at the desk and say, "Oh, you sold me this terrible product. Damn you." L30. Oh, here we go. Done. There's another Ford Focus. what the heck was that? Basically just revved up really high and it's shuddering. It's bad. It's bad. And you can, I don't know if it's me, but it smells like there's clutch smoke. And it so it revved up to like 4 and then it started gripping, and so that was pretty scary. And you know, that's kind of it's a bit you know, terrifying when that kind of happens, especially when there's some guy behind you. So I'm just going to take off a little bit slowly. The clutches are slipping, and it can't seem to handle the changes in gears or something. That's what it feels like. It's doing it again. It's slurring. It's like it's slurring every gear now. And so what? So you know, it's going in for the clutch track, and I hope that fixes it up. But I'm near work now, so I'll say thank you for watching MEOW'S Daily Driver, and I will see you next time. Bye now.